So, Paul Thomas Anderson. Oh, subscribe, by the way. My favourite living director. He's directed Boogie Nights, Magnolia, The Master, There Will Be Blood, Inherent Vice, Phantom Thread, and it's not that they all have things in common, but some of them do. Like Boogie Nights and say Magnolia have a lot of things in common. The character development and the difference between the characters and how their stories sometimes intertwine and sometimes don't. And then something like The Master, which is obviously a period piece, but it's got the pull of religion and the idea of maybe it being about Scientology and really into the psyche of the characters and how they're broken down, and particularly Joaquin Phoenix's character in it. And then you've got something like Phantom Thread, which is a lot to do with psychology and art and fashion, but mostly to do with psychology and relationships. And There Will Be Blood is my second favorite film of all time. It's just this masterpiece that it's hard to describe. I talked about The Scream in the last video and how of an impact that can have on me, or had on me, or still has on me. There Will Be Blood would be the same as the first time I saw that. It's probably the first time I really started appreciating film for what it can do, and then looking back on all the classics that went before it. So we were in Oslo, and we went to see one battle after another in the cinema. We went to an Odeon cinema. The one we wanted to go to was booked out, so we went to it was an older kind of cinema. So the Odeon was like, I suppose, any Odeon, but it was in IMAX, and it was the biggest screen I've ever seen for sure, and it was a huge room, massive. Again, probably the biggest number of seats even in a screening that I've been to, and I had heard everything about this film being a masterpiece, and this is one of his crowning achievements. And then nobody said it is his crowning achievement, because There Will Be Blood is kind of still held up as his masterpiece, but he's still working, obviously. So I'm not going to spoil anything about the film, because I definitely wouldn't want to. But it's about revolutionaries in around 2008, 2009 period, and they are fighting against the man, fighting against capitalism and everything like that. And it was based on the Weathermen from the 70s, the guerrilla group. And Leonardo DiCaprio was one of them, and it all breaks down essentially, and he has to go into hiding and become a bit of a recluse. And he's a paranoid stoner 15 years later, and he has a daughter from a relationship he had with one of the French 75, which are the revolutionary group, and he's very paranoid about what could happen to his daughter and what could happen to him. And he's still on the radar of Sean Penn's character, who's is it Captain Lockjaw? He's demented in the film, and you have a great Benicio del Toro is brilliant in the film, and Tiana Taylor. Everybody is brilliant in the film. So I won't tell you any more about what happens in the plot, okay? But what I will say is, I've never seen Paul Thomas Anderson movie quite like this one, because it's more of an action film. It's very funny in parts. DiCaprio in particular is very, very funny. Probably on purpose with DiCaprio, but maybe not so on purpose with Sean Penn, but his character what he's doing is funny. And you have this, from about 20 minutes in, it starts and it just never stops. It's just constantly going. Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist from Radiohead, has worked on 4, I think, previous scores for Paul Thomas Anderson, including There Will Be Blood. And his soundtrack, or his score, more I should say, is so propulsive to what's happening in the film. Like it sets this tempo, forward motion that just does not stop for all the time, right from maybe that 15-20 minute mark, and it just goes. And we I should say, me and Jam were just so enthralled, like we were so into this film. Like we couldn't You couldn't you couldn't go to the toilet because it's a long film. You couldn't really go to the toilet because there isn't a bit that you can miss. You have to see it all. Everything is as important as the next bit. Someone's being chased. Someone is being that person is chasing someone else, and there's this amazing car chase scene that's just unbelievable with the soundtrack going all the time in the background. These drums and this piano that Johnny Greenwood uses, and it's one of the real great achievements of this, I suppose, of this century so far, these 25 years in filmmaking, in that we were talking afterwards about like what left an impression on you, cinema wise, what left an impression on you, or even film wise. I suppose it doesn't have to be seen in the cinema. And I think Moonlight made a massive impression on me when I first saw it. And I think Phantom Thread made not a massive impression, but it did leave an impression on me when I first saw it, where it came out kind of awed by something new that maybe I hadn't seen before. And probably even above those, like Get Out is another one that left a huge impression. But I think in terms of scope and filmmaking and dynamism within the filmmaking, I would say that One Battle After Another would probably be the one. Now, listen, again, There Will Be Blood was made this century. It still is my second favorite film of all time. So, but it made me, think of, in terms of Paul Thomas Anderson's films, to line them all up, where would I have it on his scale? And I don't think there isn't a film of his that I didn't like. Now, they're not all as good as each other. I wouldn't have Inherent Vice, Hard Eight, maybe Punch Drunk Love as in the top 5, but I still really like them as films. But I thought of like, where could it be on the scale of Paul Thomas Anderson's? And I would say There Will Be Blood is still the top one. I think The Master just about shades One Battle After Another, but I've seen The Master 3 times and I've taken things from it each time. If I watch One Battle After Another again, and I hope maybe might go to cinema again to see it. I've never done that with a film, by the way. I've seen it twice in the cinema. I think if I go see it again, it could go past The Master, because I might see something a little bit different and pick up on some other kind of clues. In regards to like big award things, and I know people don't care about the Oscars, and probably rightly so. They're probably only for the people who win them. But I still have a thing for the Oscars. I still enjoy them, and I see them as, for a lot of actors, and it speaks volumes for them that they are still the pinnacle of what you can do, or what you can win and be in regards to your career. And Leonardo DiCaprio did his best to chase down that Oscar, and he eventually got one for The Revenant. In terms of Oscars, it could get like, nomination wise, could get about 10. It could get, picture, director, actor, supporting actors, supporting actress, maybe 2 supporting actors, maybe 2 supporting actresses, screenplay, score, sound, production design, cinematography, that's 10, maybe 11. And it could, they're talking about Hamnet as maybe winning Best Picture. I haven't seen Hamnet yet, by the way, but Hamnet, it's the kind of thing that they would do. They'd give Hamnet Best Picture and give Paul Thomas Anderson Best Director, because his direction in it is incredible. He hasn't won an Oscar yet. He's been nominated for 11 Oscars and he hasn't won one yet. Some of his films have won other people. Some of his films have definitely been nominated, a lot of people, and won. No Country for Old Men beat There Will Be Blood. I really like No Country for Old Men. If you watch the two of them back to back now, there's only one winner in that, in my estimation. But I think Sean Penn will probably win. I think Paul Thomas Anderson for a director. Screenplay maybe not, but again, it's a great screenplay, and some of the dialogue, he's so good at writing dialogue. It's loosely based on a Thomas Pynchon novel, by the way, Vineland, and the last time he worked on a Thomas Pynchon novel was Inherent Vice, but that stuck more to the novel, where One Battle After Another is loosely based on Vineland, which I haven't read. I did read Inherent Vice and I'm still scratching my head about what it was all about, but I sometimes you can still enjoy something if you don't know what the hell's going on. Just like the film Inherent Vice, really. But it's probably one that you'd benefit in seeing it in the cinema. But if you can't, when it comes out, rent it, buy it, whatever you do these days with films, buy them, rent them, whatever. It is, and I don't really use this term loosely or lightly, it is a masterpiece. And yeah, go see it. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, my little review for what it's worth. All right, yeah, thanks a million. Bye.